Folks, welcome to another edition in Real Estate Experts. As always, I'm your host, Glenn Twiddle, bringing you leading experts from around the country and around the world to help you, the everyday Australian, tread this minefield that is the real estate industry. Whether it's building wealth through property, selling a home for top dollar, protecting yourself in your retirement, whatever the case is, if you've got some questions around business, branding, real estate, whatever the case may be, we've got you covered. Today, I'm so honoured to be bringing you one of Australia's leading real estate agents, commonly known as Australia's fastest real estate agent. He's helped me, in fact, even to the point where together, Chris and I have brought out Sir Richard Branson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Gary Vaynerchuk, Josh Altman from $1 Million Listing. He's been my partner in crime in all of those ventures, and I'm honoured to be bringing you today the guy who helped me build my own business, and that's Chris Gilmour. Chris, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, no worries, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
So, mate, your list of accolades is a mile long in the real estate business, and we're going to get to that in a moment. But I've got to ask you, this Australia's fastest agent tag, we've got to talk to the audience about that. Where did that come from? Because I'm so fascinated by your success outside of real estate as Australia's Formula 3 racing car champion. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, look, Glenn, that tagline was basically because of my motor racing. So I started motor racing when I was 5, and the category that we race now, and we run a team, is the fastest cars that you can possibly race in Australia. So I thought, why not? You know, I'm a real estate agent. There's no one faster than me on the track. So there we go. We're Australia's fastest agent. I think some sellers probably think that we sell the homes too quick. In some cases we do, but...
Well, not too quick, mate, yeah. But when you get the dollars you get, it's insane. But let me ask you, you held the lap record as the fastest human being ever around the Bathurst track. Mate, give us that story.
Yeah, look, yeah, that's probably my only claim to fame in motor racing, but we did a 204.61 around Mount Panorama in 2012. We broke the lap record there, which was held by, I'm not too sure who it was held by. It was probably one of the V8 guys, but that record's now been broken, unfortunately. So
by another Formula 3
guy?
Yeah,
Formula 3 still hold it, which is good. So, but yeah, about another 2 seconds faster or something.
Wow.
So they resurfaced the track, and I haven't been back since. So, but look, you know, there's not too many people in the world that can say that they held the lap record at Bathurst. So it's pretty special.
Absolutely. So certainly the fastest agent tag. Yeah. It's a beautiful piece of marketing, and I've loved seeing that. So, mate, tell me about, for our viewers, they've got a minefield to tread when it comes to real estate. I mean, every real estate agent out there in the country will say that they should sell with them, that they're the best best negotiator, etc., etc. They can't all be telling the truth. So tell us, how can we sort out the talkers from the walkers? Meaning, how can we sort out the ones who say they can do the job the best and find really the Chris Gilmour of our area?
Yeah, Glenn, it's really easy. It comes back to results. You know, like everyone can get in their mailbox, oh, we're number one, or this agency's number one in the world, or whatever it might be. But it really does just simply come back to results. And there's plenty of websites out there that you can really, where the agents can't actually hide nowadays with the technology and the information that's out there. So, you know, there's numerous websites, realestate.com. They even now have in suburbs where the agents are ranked with the amount of sales. ratemyagent.com.au is probably the best website in Australia, where they can actually just log in and punch in the agent's name, and it'll tell you all about their results, their clearance rates for auctions and their private treaty sales, and their average sales price in that particular area. So it's pretty easy nowadays. And
I love that you can even search by suburb, and it'll tell you who the winners are, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. So if they live in a certain suburb, and you know, it's pretty simple. You can simply just drive around a suburb nowadays, and like I could go to a suburb that I've never sold in before, and I can work out fairly quickly who's an active agent in that area. You know, there's a lot of talk between, you know, listing and selling. So I think it's more about the sold signs than it is the for sale signs. That because anyone can really list a property, but it's taking a buyer through those steps and the seller through that journey to actually finalise and close the deal. So.
And so there might be some argument that says that getting those sales by pure volume might be one good indicator, but how about quality over quantity? Like if we were to visit an agent in their place of business, like meaning going to an open house that they've got a property for sale, what are some of the indicators at that open house? Say one of our viewers was considering an agent or 2 or 3, and they visited them at their open for inspections at the open houses of another property. What are some of those things to be on the lookout for that will really sort out the quality agents from maybe someone who's flogging off properties too cheaply?
Yeah, look, probably the first thing that your viewers should do would be is not actually tell the agent that you're thinking of selling. Just pretend that you are an actual buyer, and just see how the agent converses with you as a buyer. How are you treated? How are you greeted? Is there 2 team members at the open home? You know, have they got the assistant at the front to greet you so the agent can be inside selling the property? You know, what sort of stuff and information are you being given about the home? Like, I've been to plenty of like thousands of open homes, and sometimes I just get a business card. Like, how is that selling the property? How is that giving me the information that I need to know? I could be moving interstate and need to know about schools, public transport, shops, you know, where is everything local? So that's a good way. How do they present on the outside? Can you tell that there's an open home actually going on? Many times I've driven past and I see this little signboard on the driveway. You've got to make it look like a carnival, like, you know, stuff is actually happening inside the home. But it's really the follow-up from the agent as well. You know, how quickly did they follow up? I guarantee, and I'm pretty sure you've done it before, Glenn, that you've done a secret shop of real estate agents from open homes. That I think there was like 1 out of 10 actually contacted you back and asked feedback about that property. So I know that it's very hard for the viewers out there to select an agent, but these are the key things that they could be looking for sure.
So I love that you talk about excitement, how you make sure you use the word a carnival, that it looks like you've got excitement going on. There's lots of guests at that open, there's lots of stuff going around. How do you use that excitement because you're notorious for getting top dollar for your sellers. You've got this reputation of everything you sell turns to a high price. Records are, you know, like you break records on the racetrack, you break records in real estate. How do you use that excitement to drive prices up and get these insane prices that you're so notorious for?
Well, that's simple, Glenn, because competition breaks records. You know, it happens in swimming pools. It happens in the Olympic Games, anything like that. It's no different for a seller when selling a home. The more people that you can get to see your home, to get them into your home, the greater the buzz, the more energy around that property, the more competition. So instead of having one buyer for your home, try and produce 2 or 3. And that's what, the more people that see the home, obviously that comes back to marketing and the role of the agent and who they've got on their database and stuff like that. But the more energy and the more buzz will certainly drive up the seller's price at the end of the day. It's very, very simple.
So really, if we were going to summarise that, we're looking to go check them out, make sure there's some excitement around, a couple of people at the open is helpful, quality marketing material, not just a business card and a photocopied brochure. Have I got everything?
Yeah, and their follow-up. The key is in the follow-up, because you know, I've seen time and time again, a buyer's walked into a home and then you follow them up, you know, a week or 2 weeks later or 3 months after that as well, and they've completely brought in a suburb that they weren't even talking about. So I think it's really key to know and understand your buyers. I'm very lucky, I run a team, so I have a full-time dedicated buyer's agent. So we've got in the company around 14,000 registered buyers, so very, very hard to get through all of them, but we have a full-time Troy is his name, and that's all he does, is just works with the buyers. So, and it's understanding what the buyers want, but also understanding what your seller wants as well.
Certainly. And so Chris, mate, I've got to hit you up. Well, I've got this first segment here for a free copy of your book, Sold in 60 Seconds. They can get it at soldin60seconds.com.au. That's with a 60, not a 60, but soldin60seconds.com.au. Now, here's where I get cheeky. I know you're selling it. I know it's a best-selling book. Can I hit you up for a freebie for our viewers?
Yeah, for your viewers, Glenn, I've got no problem doing that. If I can help 1 or 2 people, you know, achieve a maximum sale price, whether they're here in Brisbane or Australia, it doesn't matter. So just go to the website, soldin60seconds.com.au.
We'll put a little code up there.
Yeah, I'll put a promo up there. So let's, experts.
There you go. There you go. So it'll be right there, guys. Put that code in at www.soldin60seconds.com.au. Chris Gilmour, thank you so much. So Chris, buying the listing. You've talked about it in your phenomenal book, Sold in 60 Seconds, that there's a practice that goes on that's called buying the listing. First off, for our viewers who may not know what that is, what's buying the listing?
In the industry, we call it buying the listing when an agent comes into a seller's property. Sometimes the sellers will tell the agent what they're hoping to get. Now, we do understand most sellers do believe their home is worth more than probably what it really is. It's just human nature. But that's when the agent will either come in with an excessively high price to lure the seller in to sell with them, when it's really, it's not going to be anywhere sold near that price. So that's what we call in the industry buying the listing. So your viewers should be very careful of agents like this. If you know your marketplace, an agent should be within $10,000, $20,000 of where it should actually sell. If an agent comes in and tells you that your home is worth probably $50,000 to $100,000 more, I'd be questioning it.
And you can see, though, that where most people would, as you say, human nature, would be kind of optimistic about getting the highest possible price. Tell me why it's a problem. Well, like, surely, isn't it just okay to start a bit higher, and if that's not going to be the right price, then we'll ease it back accordingly until we hit that sweet spot? Isn't it better to start high?
Most people believe that it is better. It's going to do you actually no good at the end of the campaign. So it's actually going to really not help you big time. And the reason why is the longer that your home is on the market, the less people that are actually going to see it, because there's new properties coming to the market every single day. And you've got about 2 weeks to actually get it out to the marketplace, and that's where you're going to have the most traction and the most inquiry. So the old fashioned, let's start up here and drop and drop and drop and drop. Well, the buyers have all these websites. They have all the information now. So they know how long you've been on the market for. They know what you started with. And they're not silly, Glenn. Buyers are not stupid nowadays, you know what I mean? So I think if you're going to start high and work your way down, definitely the wrong method to do.
So it sounds like we're wasting those first couple of weeks of marketing, and that's when most agents will spend the most of the seller's money on the market. I mean, is that the way it works? And is that why you just are begging people to get a professional agent in there who does it the right way?
Yeah, definitely. Because if you start too high for the market, your best buyer has probably come through the property and seen it when it's at, 10% above market value. They move on because they instantly just recognise that your home is overpriced and go and buy something else. Over the weeks, you drop and drop and drop and drop, and now really you're feeding at the bottom of the basket for not your best buyers. So what you want to do is, like we said in the last episode, is competition breaks records. So the more people that you can have in your property, the higher price your property will end up selling for. But if you start too high, your inquiry level will be completely very, very low.
So my viewers have often come to me saying that every time the real estate agent wants to talk to me, it's just to tell me to drop my price. When only 3 weeks ago they told me it was worth this, now they're telling me drop my price, drop my price. Is that a symptom of sellers kind of falling for the trap?
Yeah, 100% it is, If you've got your property set and priced right from the beginning, your property should be sold within the first 2 weeks. Yeah, it's that simple.
And that's where you got the tagline, Australia's fastest agent. Is that why that, when people do come to you say, Chris, you're selling them too fast, is that because you didn't have time to do what every other real estate agent would do and kind of beat the seller down on price?
No, it's just being smart with your strategy and knowing your market. If you're an expert, so typically when we see the most agents that buy the listing are probably the new agents that have got no stock. They need to get their signboards. They need to start, getting sellers to sell with. So they're the ones that typically do come in and overprice properties right from the word go. A professional and an area expert of their market will be able to give you fact by fact and case studies and recent results of where a property stood, what it's sold for, and how long it's sold in. You know what I mean? So that's really what I would be asking as the seller.
Chris, do you think it's kind of them not knowing, or do you think it's deceptive? Like, do you think they're optimistically naive and overpricing, or do you think it's a very deliberate strategy?
I 100% believe it's deliberate. So if for them, they're getting grounded by their principal in their office, they need to get sales, they need to get listings. It's rife in our industry. It's possibly the worst thing that a seller or an agent can do to a seller.
Yeah, mate. Oh, look, I'd love to believe that it was just them naively being optimistic, but agreed, mate. The proof's in the pudding that when it seems like that's their system, list at any price, then beat the seller down. I mean, they even call it conditioning, or educating. So yeah, it is a shame, but then that's the beauty of your area. Your viewers and your people in your area get to just choose you. So that's awesome. And you know what? The viewers do come to me a lot with, I've got one agent that's just shoving the auction method of sale down my throat, and then I've got another agent saying auction is the devil. So give us a rundown on the unique ways that you actually transact a property and what your favourite method or methods of sale are.
Yeah, look, Glenn, for me, it's very, very easy. My favourite method is what we call a fixed date sale. Okay, so it's actually in between private treaty, where you go to the market with a price, and the auction concept. So the one thing I don't like about the auction is that the buyers yell out how much they're prepared to pay. And all they have to do is be $1 more than the reserve, and that property sells. But they could have had an extra $20,000 still in their pocket, but they didn't have to spend that. Okay. So, and then with private treaty, if you go to the market with a price, if your price is wrong, your whole campaign is gone. So what we did is we come up with fixed date sale. So that's when we go to the market for the first 2 weeks with no price, because we know for a fact that buyers will dismiss properties without even going and seeing them based on its price. Now I could say to you, Glenn, you're looking at purchasing a home. How much you're looking at spending? 600,000. Okay. What if we had a property at 700,000? Would you go and look at it? No, well, that's above my budget. 2 weeks later, you saw it sold for 600,000, but you missed out. You never went and saw it. So what we want to do is we want to remove price from the transaction. We want the buyers to come and see the home, feel the home, smell the home, and fall in love with the home. If we find that one heart buyer, the emotional buyer, they will pay $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 more than anybody else. And they're not dismissing the home based on price. They actually have to come and view the home. So that's a great tip for all sellers selling anywhere in Australia.
It sounds like what the auction guys say, though. Like the auction guys always say, oh, remove the price and all that sort of thing. So tell us about the key differences between this unique method that you have pioneered, certainly in Queensland. I know of no one who's doing it so successfully and as good, because everyone else is doing it one of those other two ways. Tell us about the differences about this method with those similarities that you've just described. That's a lot of the auction guys say that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like I said, Glenn, it is very similar to an auction. With the fixed date sale, it's shorter. Okay, so most auction campaigns are 4 weeks. We tend to find that the buyers, they don't hang around for 4 weeks. If there's another property that comes on the market in 3 days' time and it's similar, and it's easier for them to buy, they'll just go and buy it. Okay, so that's one key thing with a fixed date sale. It's for 2 weeks only, nice and quick. The other biggest thing, and this is probably where we can, and we smash our records with, is when the buyer makes an offer, each buyer doesn't know what every buyer is offering. So that's the private treaty side of things, where the offers are actually done in our office behind closed doors. So if we have multiple buyers, they all don't know how much they're offering for that particular property. And at the end of the day, the agent's role is only to find that emotional buyer. So that emotional buyer will pay $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 more over and above anybody else. And that's how we get the top dollar.
Wow, it sounds unique. I mean, tell me about the results you've been having with that, because the other two methods, private treaty with a price or auction, have been around for so long, and most other real estate agents choose one of those two camps. Tell us about your success stories with this relatively new and innovative approach.
Yeah, well, look, the current clearance rates, just say here in Brisbane, are 34% for auction. With our fixed date sale method, we're 96% success rate within the first 2 weeks.
So essentially everything's selling.
Pretty much.
Mate, your reputation is very well deserved.
Australia's fastest agent.
Now tell us though about some of the specifics. Tell us about some of your favourite strategies where you've helped sellers, and what those extra dollars that those record prices that you're getting has done for their lifestyle.
Yeah, look, probably my most favourite one was we were selling this particular home for this family, and they had young kids, and they thought their home was worth around $500,000. And as an agent, we thought the property, and we're an expert in this area, this is our core area, we've been selling in it, and this is where real estate agents can get it wrong. We're not the emotional buyer. Our job is to find the emotional buyer for the seller. So when we've looked at all the data and all our past sales in this particular area, we thought, yeah, $500,000 was pretty much on par. When we went to the market, the first open home that we had 36 groups come through the property, okay, and we actually received 14 offers for the property.
Wow.
Okay, so we ended up selling the property at $565,000.
Wow.
So one, the seller was wrong. Two, I was completely wrong. Okay, now that $565,000 offer, the second best offer we had was $530,000. But that $565,000 buyer didn't know that $530,000 was the second highest. So that's
so if it was auction, it would have sold for $531,000.
100%. Well, we probably would have set reserve at $500,000, $510,000. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say. So that's where that strategy works fantastic. And it wasn't until I got a postcard from them in Disneyland where that's when it probably meant the most. So
Wow.
they with the extra money, they took their kids, flew business class,
Wow.
okay, which was kind of cool, and went over to LA for Disneyland with the kids with the extra money. So that's what it can do, and it can do that, and any agent can do that for any home seller anywhere in Australia. It's really simple.
Wow. What I love about that, mate, is the impact you must have made on that family, that while they're having the time of their life in Disneyland, they think of the guy that made that possible and sent you a postcard. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. You know, we've got a great relationship with them, but at the end of the day, that's the role of the agent. You know, I know a lot of your viewers probably think we're paid too much, but when we can bring extra value to a homeowner like that, I think we're worth every cent. So,
So my next question is on. There are some agents that seem like they are charging a year's salary, right, for their services. And then there are some agents that seem like they will almost sell your home for free, and everywhere in between. Now, I know that you're not the most expensive agent that has ever existed, nor are you the cheapest. But I want to pick your brain about how much my viewers should be paying their real estate agent, because there is such a discrepancy and no one knows. You hinted on it last time in the last episode when we talked about you getting $65,000 more for that awesome family who sent you a postcard from Disneyland. Tell us your take on the cost of transacting a property.
Yeah, look, buying and selling real estate, it's an expensive thing. We can't hide that fact. When you're buying, you pay your stamp duty, and when you're selling, you've got to pay the agent commission. There's many agents in Australia. Some will sell your home at a cap rate at $4,000, which I think is ridiculous. And then a top performing agent will come in and say, look, our fee is $20,000. Everyone thinks real estate agents are all the same. And that's probably the biggest issue. We're not all the same. Some of us have got 20 years experience. Some are probably brand new and just working for a large franchise group, and you would never know what their experience is.
Well, the statistics are that literally 1 in 10 real estate agents makes it to the 2-year mark. So there's a 90% chance that when you call out an agent, if you don't know they've got the results, there's a 9 out of 10 chance they're one of the rookies that you're describing.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's really important. And, you know, it's like performing heart surgery. Do you want the cheapest or do you want the best surgeon that's going to keep you alive? You know, we're playing with your life. Now, with selling a home, we're playing with your biggest asset. You know, we could be selling a $200,000 home or a $4 million home. So selling your home is the biggest transactional asset you'll ever do in your life. You know, it's not like selling a car. So it is critical that they do get it right. And a lot of home sellers, they choose their agent based on their fee. You know, they don't choose on their marketing, their skill, their negotiation levels, their area expert. You know, they simply just choose them who's the cheapest. And that's actually going to cost them a lot more.
Yeah, so tell us about that. Say an agent is, you know, one agent's $12,000 and one agent's $7,000 or something, so there might be a $5,000 differential. Sure. Tell us about some of the examples, or perhaps what your take is on how expensive that $5,000 discount can actually turn out to be.
Yeah, there's 2 key things. I would never sell with a capped commission agent, right? Because there's no incentive for them to get you $10,000 more or $20,000 more. No matter what they sell your home for, you pay them the same amount. So there's no reward for that agent. And I think we're a top performing agent, the higher we can get, the more we get paid. So we're in this together. You should be working as a team and not thinking of the cost. Okay. And then if you've got an example of 12,000 and the other agent's at 7,000, what if that 12,000, let's say I was the $12,000 agent and I was competing against an agent that was going to charge you 7, but I'd sold 55 properties in the suburb and they'd sold 3, and my average sale price was $42,000 more than the area average, or more than that other agent. Now you're looking at the $5,000 difference. I'm looking at $37,000 more I can bring to the table. That is where, so on paper, they're actually the cheapest agent because they're going to get you more for your home. And that's a top performing agent. They're wired different. They're all about getting results and a high price because that's how they get their next client. So be very careful if you've got multiple agents. You know, I always recommend at least just get 2 agents in. Some people get 5 in. They just get confused and you know, mind boggled in the situation. But I'd select maybe 2 agents total. Don't select them on fee, select them on who you think is going to be the best person to represent you and your home in the marketplace, who you think is an absolute demon in negotiating, okay? And ask them to drop their fee. And ask them and see where they stand. And if they, like if you were to ask me...
Yeah, so Chris, will you please do it for 7,000? Well,
no.
How would you... No. Okay.
It's that simple. So I'm protecting my own fee, just like I'm going to protect your price when we go to the market. So if I was to say, yeah, sure, Glenn, I'll do that. So then a buyer comes in and says, well, Chris, you've got it on the market at 550,000. Will the owner take 530? Yeah, you'll probably get it for that. You know, well, there's $20,000 gone like that in a simple 10-second conversation. So
it's almost like you're saying that the agent who will drop their fee just like that, it's almost like, you know, my viewer as the seller, they've just out-negotiated the person they're about to hire to be a professional negotiator for them. Maybe they should be selling themselves.
They should just put the sign out the front, save all their marketing money and their $7,000 that they're going to pay the agent to be a delivery person, because that's all I believe that they are. You know, you want a skilled negotiator. The role of a real estate agent, there is only two roles of a real estate agent. There's marketing and negotiating. They're the two things that a real estate agent can bring to the table. And you need to select the best one.
So they're not actually selling the home. Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. The seller is the person that actually sells the home. The way that they present the home, sure, the role of the agent is to help them and advise them and to give them that advice. But it's the way that they price their home, the method that they select, because it all comes down to the owner, you know, what they would like to do. So the two key roles of an agent is marketing, negotiating. And you want to find the best agent that is good at both.
So it's almost like the very thing that a lot of home sellers are choosing agents on, whether or not they'll drop their price, that's almost saying that one of those two critical things that you said, they're no good at. Incredible. Tell us about this particular side of it, finding a great marketer. Isn't it just about throwing it up on the internet and hoping what happens? Tell us about your unique take and your unique skill set that you've developed in marketing properties.
Yeah, look, marketing is, we could speak probably 3 hours on this topic, because that is what selling a home all comes back to, is how good is the marketing, because the marketing is what brings the people to the home.
And you talked about that in another episode, where you had, like, one of your homes you sold 36 groups through or whatever it was, and you used your marketing to make that happen. And those 36, I love the story you told a couple of episodes ago. If you didn't see the episode, folks, go back a few episodes and hear about the family from Disneyland sending Chris a postcard with an extra $65,000 in their bank account as a result of your marketing prowess. Tell us about how you did that when other agents get 2 or 1 buyer through their open houses.
Look, I think the first key thing is the seller does need to contribute. Okay, there's a lot of agents out there that will offer free marketing. Okay, we can all offer free marketing, but what's the quality going to be like?
Just like all agents aren't created equal, all marketing isn't created equal as well.
That's right. If it's free, then you know it's probably not going to be the best, okay? And you only get one chance here. You only get one chance. So that you've got to make sure that you've selected the right agent, you've selected the best method, but your marketing has to be world class. It is that simple, because like if we were to take my area for instance, right? If a buyer was to look at our market right now, we're competing with around 280 homes on the market. So how can we make that home stand out from the other 279 that are on the market? And that's where the marketing skills of the agents come back to it. So, you know, just really, and can I go through some of the simple stuff?
I would love it.
Okay, so start with professional photography. That's the key number one thing. You've got to have good looking photos, okay? Don't let the agent take their own photos. It's a big no-no. They're real estate agents, they're not photographers, okay? So leave that up to the professionals.
Well, we've seen some of those agent taken photos, and you know what, if they don't follow your advice like we're talking about, is that the only other option? To me, sounds like we've got to drop the price, and it sounds like that's why these guys are getting these bargain prices, and that's not what our sellers want, is it?
No, well, every seller wants top dollar. So key couple of things: professional photography, okay? Make sure the agent has someone on standby ready to take photos. The second thing is floor plans, okay? 80% of the buyers that we see love floor plans, okay? We're all time poor. We've got 280 homes to pick from. They're not going to go and look at all 280. They're going to shortlist everything. So we want to give them as much information as possible for them to make the right decision to come and look at this property. So a floor plan is key.
And mate, I love that you've almost gotten famous in your area. Not almost, you are. You're a household name because, and you've had agents come from around the country, even flying from international, to hear you speak on another unique part of your marketing, and that's video. Talk to us about how you use video in your marketing.
Yeah, video is probably the #1 key secret right now. Okay, we've been doing video for 10 years. We were one of the pioneers to bring in video to selling properties. But the amount of technology out there nowadays, video really sells the lifestyle and the emotion, and that's what we're trying to do. A photo is great, but interacting with the people online and stuff like that, and you can't do that in the newspaper, so I'm very anti-newspaper because you don't know which newspaper your best buyer is looking at. So online is where it's at for us. But a video selling the lifestyle, the area and the property, and having that agent actually present to the viewer or the buyer is absolute key. So I wouldn't run any longer than a 2-minute video because you're going to start losing your audience. So the video has to be quite quick and snappy and to the point. But you've also then got 3D technology that's come out, which is what we call a Matterport. We're very lucky in our company that we've got that technology, but it's putting on the goggles.
Like you can be there
100%.
in the home online.
Yeah, definitely. So we could be selling a home to somebody in India, Singapore, China, New York. They actually don't even have to physically come to the home with the technology that's out there nowadays. So there is a lot around the marketing. So professional photography, video, floor plans, 3D tours. The agent has to have a really good database. That's absolute key. Where you're positioned on the websites. So everyone says, oh, look, we can put you on realestate.com. It's the #1 website. Well, is it the #1 website? Because I know for a fact it's not the #1 website in Melbourne and Sydney. So if I'm selling a home in Brisbane, how can I get those Sydney investors or the people living in the state? So you need to make sure that you're on all the websites, but you don't want to be on page 10. So you do need to pay a little bit extra to bump your listing up, on the rankings. So you want the biggest ad, you want the boldest ad, you want lots of photos, top quality photos, stuff like that. So it's all really key, simple stuff. But probably the biggest thing that we haven't touched on is social media.
Let's talk about that because it's the new newspaper. It's the new television, I've heard. That mobile phone. If you go past any coffee shop, you don't see people thumbing through the newspaper anymore. You see them thumbing through their device. And you've had agents come from around the country and around the world, like I said, to learn from you about how you're using social. What are you doing for property sellers on social media?
Yeah, key couple of areas. Probably the couple of big ones is obviously YouTube for the video. Facebook is probably the #1 though. So, we can boost that property out there where we, as agents, we can pay to have that property seen. We can actually pinpoint an area where that property can be seen in what locations. So, there's some amazing things out there in social land. Snapchat, where we can do live open home feeds when we're at the property to all our followers on Snapchat. So social media is now playing a massive part in marketing and selling a property because this is the great thing about it. I could post a photo of your home, Glenn, for sale, and your family, your friends, they share it. And then their friends and family, they see that you've shared it, and it's just a big spider web, and that's the beauty of social media. So yes, the internet helps, but I think social media in the future is definitely going to be maybe the #1 way to selling a property pretty soon.
So Chris, a lot of that stuff though, it says to me that it's going to cost me a fortune as a home seller. I'm playing devil's advocate because I've seen some of these agents out there literally wanting me to drop $25,000 on my marketing campaign. And yours sounds like with these films, because you're making these videos that look like Martin Scorsese, they look great, they look like Hollywood, all of this stuff, it sounds and looks like it's expensive. Talk to me about the cost. How much should I be investing in the marketing of this property in all of these media?
Yeah, look, I think where my sellers are lucky, you wouldn't even be spending more than $2,000 on marketing to do everything.
To get all that stuff?
Yeah, 100%. So the key thing for us is we don't do the newspaper anymore, okay? So sellers are spending, anywhere from $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, up to $20,000, depending on their size of the ad, for their local newspaper. Now, crazy, I don't know the last time I brought a newspaper. I don't even know the last time that the best buyer came from the newspaper. Where these videos that we create, sure, they cost a couple $100, but on social media, YouTube, on the internet sites for the real estate websites, are costing us about 1 to 3 cents per view. It's so cheap.
Wow. Yeah, I love it. And I love the fact that you've really are leading the field, because you have agents literally coming to your seminars to learn how to do these things. Because I remember, you were at a training teaching about how we can drop that pin with a little radius. And that innovation in Facebook was literally only a month or so ago. So it's a credit to you that you're staying cutting edge, not back in ye olde worldy. And who's benefiting? Your sellers. So it's great to see, mate.
Yeah, look, the future of real estate has changed. It's not like selling a home 10, 20 years ago. And we've got to stay at the forefront, and the seller has to pick an agent that is up to with all that sort of stuff. So if an agent's coming into their homes and they're pinching them for a $10,000, $20,000 marketing campaign, I'd really be questioning and saying, well, where is my best buyer going to come from? Or is that just advertising you and your company?
Yeah, advertising the agency.
That's right, which is completely wrong. That's not what we're here for. Okay, well, not me personally. We're here to get the result, to sell the property, get paid, move on, tell them, they'll tell all their friends how great we were, and that's how we work as in our business. But social media, I believe, is the key, definitely.
All right, so other than little bonus track, I'm going to hit Chris up for one little bonus track. So hit me up next time for another episode where I've got a bonus question for you. But that's it in our How to Sell series for you. I do trust that you avail yourself of Chris Gilmour's book that encapsulates many of these strategies, soldin60seconds.com.au. Using the code there, you can avoid paying the $30 Chris has graciously given us a free copy as a viewer of the show. So there's your code, there's your website. Grab yourself a copy. Chris, I really thank you for this series, mate. I know it's been a whole lot of help for a whole lot of sellers.
Yeah, look, I hope they get great value out of it. And Glenn, thanks for having me on your show.
My pleasure. Folks, until next time, what a special edition of Real Estate Experts. Until the next episode, bye for now.